The room goes silent. Kari Lake, standing at the podium, stares directly at Jasmine Crockett, her voice sharp and unwavering. The camera zooms in on her face, capturing the smug smirk, the self-assured arrogance. "Let's talk about honesty, shall we?" Kari begins, her words slicing through the tension in the air. Jasmine Crockett has built her entire career on one thing, taking credit for the hard work of others. A true opportunist. How many lives have you ruined just to climb that political ladder, Jasmine? You wear your integrity like a mask, but I see through it. The words hit like a bombshell. The audience gasps, the tension in the room palpable. The insult isn't just a critique, it's personal. It's an accusation that strikes at the very core of Crockett's public image. Crockett's face tightens. For a split second, there's a flash of vulnerability in her eyes, a brief moment of doubt. The crowd watches, waiting. Could this be the moment her entire political career comes crashing down? But Jasmine doesn't flinch. She stands tall, her posture unshaken, but the weight of Lake's words hangs in the air like a heavy fog. The media cameras click rapidly, capturing the moment for the world to see. The insult is out there now, scathing, powerful, and deeply damaging. And the question on everyone's mind, how will Jasmine respond? The air feels thick with anticipation. Crockett's reputation, her composure, even her future are all on the line. She can feel the pressure mounting, the stakes rising with every second. It's no longer just a debate, it's a war of narratives. Lake has just thrown down the gauntlet, and now it's Jasmine's turn to react. The spotlight shifts to Crockett, who takes a slow, deliberate breath. She meets Lake's eyes, unfazed, but her mind races. The clock is ticking. What will she do next? And in that tense, suspended silence, you realize something. The world is watching. The showdown has begun. The world holds its breath. On one side of the debate stage, there's Kari Lake, former news anchor turned political firebrand. A master of the media circus, a figure who has cultivated her persona with surgical precision. Known for her unapologetic rhetoric, Lake has made her name by leveraging controversy, using inflammatory language to capture attention and rattle her opponents. She's not just a politician, she's a disruptor, a figure who thrives in chaos. Her rise has been meteoric, fueled by a no-holds-barred approach to conservative politics. But here's the truth, it's always been about control for her. The spotlight. The narrative. The stage. And then there's Jasmine Crockett, the rising star of progressive politics. A force to be reckoned with, Crockett's roots run deep in the struggle for justice. Born into a community where the fight for equal rights and fairness was more than just a political stance, it was a way of life. A former public defender, Crockett's rise has been powered by her reputation for being fierce, driven, and above all, a champion for the voiceless. But her climb to power hasn't been easy. She's had to battle through systemic obstacles, the subtle and not-so-subtle prejudices that come with being a black woman in a predominantly white political landscape. Now, at the center of a charged national debate, these two women represent more than just themselves. They symbolize two opposing ideologies, one that clings to divisive rhetoric and power at any cost, and the other that fights for equality, integrity, and justice. But what's really at stake? For Kari Lake, this moment is another chapter in her battle for dominance in a political environment where perception is everything. If she can destroy Crockett's reputation, she can solidify her place at the forefront of the Republican Party, positioning herself as the voice of the conservative revolution. A win here means more than just a debate victory, it means furthering the narrative she's been building, securing her power, and taking down a rising progressive star. For Lake, this is about more than politics. It's about cementing her legacy in the national conversation. For Crockett, however, the stakes are even higher. This isn't just about defending her reputation, it's about the soul of her political career. A misstep here could lead to a loss of credibility, a potential unraveling of the progressive movement she's fighting for. She has to not only disprove Lake's accusations but also reassert her own narrative of dignity, truth, and authenticity. Crockett knows that if she lets Lake's words stand without a powerful rebuttal, it could lead to a loss of trust from her base, the very people who look to her for hope and change. But there's something more, a chance to redefine the narrative, to take control of the moment. This is more than just a battle between two women. It's a microcosm of the larger political war that's been brewing in America for years. A war over identity. Over values. Over the future direction of the nation. The stakes. A shifting political landscape. The chance to influence how the country perceives the truth, and more importantly, who gets to define it. This is a battle for public perception, where every word spoken can reshape the narrative. The ideological divide is razor thin, and the next move will be crucial. So, what will Jasmine Crockett do? The crowd can feel it. The electric tension in the air is undeniable. People aren't just watching, they're waiting for her response. Every second that ticks by feels like an eternity, with the weight of the moment pressing on Crockett's shoulders. Will she crack under the pressure? Or will she rise above, transforming this clash into a defining victory? The answer lies in the next few moments. Kari Lake thrives on one thing, control. It's the engine that drives her career, and she's become a master of the game, where controversy, insults, and provocations are tools, not just weapons. She's crafted a persona that is equal parts fearless leader and media manipulator, someone who knows exactly how to get under the skin of her opponents and rile up the public. Her rise didn't come from policy expertise or a vision for the future of America, it came from her uncanny ability to rile up emotions, ignite rage, and create a spectacle out of every interaction. Lake was a news anchor for years, her sharp wit and quick delivery gaining her the attention of viewers. But it wasn't long before she realized that playing it safe was never going to make her a household name. She wasn't content just reporting the news, no, she needed to be the news. She saw an opportunity in the political sphere, a space where sensationalism could be taken to new heights. As soon as she jumped into the arena, she shed her journalistic neutrality like a snake sheds its skin. Gone was the measured voice of reason. In its place was a fiery rhetoric designed to inflame, provoke, and polarize. Lake doesn't shy away from controversy, in fact, she feeds off it. She's unapologetically combative, using insults and dismissive comments to paint herself as a fighter for the real America, the one that supposedly stands against political correctness and the liberal agenda. She's created an entire identity based on taking down perceived elites and anyone who dares question her. But it's not just about ideology. It's personal. Every confrontation she enters becomes a chance to prove that she's the toughest, the most unyielding, the one who can bulldoze anyone standing in her way. Lake's platform has been built on a bedrock of half-truths, exaggerations, and disinformation. Her time in media taught her the power of a headline, a catchy phrase that could dominate news cycles, that could make her the center of attention. She knows that facts are optional, as long as she can craft a narrative that sticks. The truth doesn't always matter in her world, perception does. Whether it's throwing shade at political opponents or pushing baseless conspiracy theories, Lake knows that the louder she shouts, the more people listen. But here's the thing about Kari Lake, she's never faced anyone like Jasmine Crockett. Lake's usual tactic, bluster, insults, and personal attacks, has always worked. She can out-talk and outmaneuver most opponents by simply drowning them in noise. When people attack her, she retaliates with a smirk and a sharp-tongued rebuttal, never showing weakness. For her, politics is a game, and the goal is to come out on top, no matter the cost. But Crockett is different. Crockett isn't someone who's going to react with anger or fear. She's not going to let Lake's provocations dictate the terms of the debate. This time, Lake's usual routine doesn't seem to work. In fact, for the first time in her career, Kari Lake has finally met someone who isn't just going to roll over. And that realization starts to gnaw at her. Lake's arrogance, her belief that no one can challenge her, has become her blind spot. She's been used to winning by overwhelming her opponents, by putting them in a position where they either have to accept her narrative or lose. She's built a world where she's always right, always on top, and always in control. The more she insults, the more her audience loves it. The more she provokes, the more she cements her place in the spotlight. But this time, there's an unease settling in her stomach. The room is charged, the energy shifting. As much as Lake tries to control the narrative, she can feel something's different. Her words seem to bounce off Crockett, whose quiet composure only seems to deepen the tension. Lake, for all her bravado, can't shake the feeling that she's not the only one with the power in this conversation anymore. She's still throwing insults, trying to maintain control of the stage, but with each passing second, she realizes the truth: she's no longer in the driver's seat. For all her confidence, for all her attacks, Lake is facing someone who's not intimidated by her. Crockett's calm is like a mirror reflecting back Lake's own frantic energy. The more Lake tries to unnerve her, the more Crockett stands steady. For Lake, it's the first crack in the armor she's so carefully built. It's a reality check she's not used to, and it's one she isn't prepared for. She's spent years cultivating this image of the fearless, untouchable figure. Now, for the first time, that image is slipping. What happens next could be the turning point in this battle. For once, the self-assuredness that has been the foundation of Lake's career might not be enough. This time, her overconfidence might just cost her everything. Jasmine Crockett didn't rise to prominence by playing by the rules. In a world where the powerful dictate the narrative, where the rich and privileged use their influence to dominate, Crockett fought back, not just with words, but with an unwavering belief that the law should serve the people, not the powerful. Her story began in a place all too familiar to many. The youngest of three, born to a single mother who worked double shifts to keep food on the table. Crockett's childhood was a testament to perseverance. She grew up in the kind of neighborhoods that most would call forgotten, where the system failed as much as it protected. She saw it all: the overcrowded schools, the failing healthcare, the broken promises made by politicians who only came around during election seasons. But rather than accept the status quo, Crockett made a choice: she would fight for the people who had been left behind. Her journey to law school wasn't easy. She worked full-time jobs to pay for college while studying for the LSATs. She faced barriers not just because of her financial background, but because of her identity. As a black woman, she constantly had to prove herself in spaces that weren't built for her. Law school was grueling, and at times, the odds seemed stacked against her. But Jasmine Crockett didn't back down. Every hurdle, every instance where the system tried to push her down, only fueled her determination to make a difference. After law school, she became a public defender, stepping into a system that was broken beyond repair. It wasn't glamorous work, and it certainly wasn't lucrative. But it was real. Every day, Crockett walked into courtrooms filled with people who had been failed by society. Young men and women from disadvantaged communities, often caught in the grip of poverty, addiction, or systemic discrimination. They didn't have the means to defend themselves, but Crockett believed they deserved a voice just as much as anyone else. She didn't just represent clients, she fought for them, with every ounce of her being. She fought against the odds, and she won, again and again. But it wasn't just the victories that earned her respect, it was the integrity with which she fought. She didn't take shortcuts, didn't play by the establishment's rules, and certainly didn't back down when faced with corruption. The law was supposed to be about fairness, but Crockett knew that, for many, it was anything but. She used her platform to shine a light on these injustices, to fight not only for the people in her courtroom but for the ones who were too afraid to speak out. Her rise in politics was a natural progression, a way to push her fight for justice even further. Crockett didn't join politics for the power, the fame, or the connections. She did it because, in her mind, the system wasn't working. And if you want to fix a broken system, you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. Her unapologetic stance on social issues, her vocal opposition to the status quo, and her determination to disrupt the political machine earned her a reputation that was impossible to ignore. She wasn't just a politician, she was a force. But Crockett's journey hasn't been without its sacrifices. She's faced countless attacks, often from those who would rather see her silenced than see the truth come to light. She's been called every name in the book, accused of being too radical, angry, or too much of a disruptor. People have tried to tear her down at every turn. But Crockett, always the fighter, never wavered. She knew that the fight was bigger than her. It was about something deeper, about making sure that those who have been overlooked, underestimated, or silenced had a voice. There was one case in particular that defined Crockett's career, a case that many in the legal world thought was impossible to win. A young man, wrongly convicted of a crime he didn't commit, had been sentenced to life in prison. The system had failed him. The evidence was there, but the system had overlooked it. Everyone said it was a lost cause, but Crockett wasn't having it. She worked tirelessly, poring over old files, conducting investigations, and challenging every piece of evidence. It took years. But in the end, she freed him. That victory was about more than just one man, it was about restoring faith in a justice system that had abandoned so many. But now, Crockett finds herself in a new battle. The debate stage is different from the courtroom, but the principles are the same. The stakes are higher, and the eyes of the nation are on her. Kari Lake, the queen of chaos and provocation, has just thrown a personal, unprovoked insult her way. It's the kind of attack that is meant to rattle you, to make you question everything you stand for. Lake's words are designed to hit hard, to cut deep, to turn the tide of public opinion in her favor. But Jasmine Crockett isn't the type of person who buckles under pressure. She knows the stakes. This isn't just about her reputation, it's about standing for something larger. This moment is bigger than a personal feud. It's about setting an example for those who believe in justice, dignity, and truth. It's about showing the world that you don't have to stoop to insults and manipulation to win. The moment has arrived. Crockett is calm, composed, and more determined than ever. Lake may have started the fight, but Crockett is about to end it. Kari Lake isn't finished yet. Her words continue to fly across the stage like daggers, each more personal than the last, each designed to chip away at the foundation of Crockett's composure. You know, it's honestly impressive, Lake sneers, her voice dripping with sarcasm, how you've managed to climb the political ladder while leaving a trail of destruction behind you. It must take a real knack for deception to stand there and pretend you're fighting for justice when you've sold out at every turn. It's almost like you're auditioning for sainthood while dragging everyone else down with you. Crockett's expression doesn't falter. Not even a twitch. She stands with her back straight, arms by her side, eyes locked firmly on Lake. Her silence speaks volumes, she's letting the insults fall around her like the empty noise they are, refusing to rise to the bait. But inside, there's a quiet fire building. Lake doesn't miss it. She sees Crockett's calm demeanor as a challenge to her authority. It only fuels her. How does it feel to be the mouthpiece for a broken system? Lake taunts, crossing the stage and pointing a finger at Crockett. You'll say anything to stay relevant. Your whole career is built on getting in front of cameras and acting like you care. But where was all this caring when your own community was falling apart? The audience can feel the tension in the air, the room alive with anticipation. They're waiting for Crockett to crack, to show weakness. But she doesn't. She just stands there, unwavering. Lake's voice grows louder, more cutting. I get it, though. It's easier to pretend you're some kind of hero when you've done nothing but take advantage of every situation. It must be nice to play the victim while you work your way to the top, huh? Each insult lands like a blow. Lake is relentless now, seeing Crockett's silence as an invitation to keep going. You want to talk about integrity, she scoffs. Maybe you should look at your own record. You've made a career out of pretending to be a champion for the people, but you're just as corrupt as the ones you claim to fight. You're nothing more than another politician with an agenda. The crowd shifts in their seats, murmurs rippling through the room. This is the showdown they've been waiting for. But Crockett remains unmoved. Her eyes remain steady on Lake, as if nothing is happening. It's as though the insults simply don't reach her, like she's immune to the barrage of negativity. She could react, could respond with her own attacks, but that would give Lake what she wants. And Crockett refuses to give her that satisfaction. Lake is starting to lose control. She's used to having the upper hand, to being the loudest voice in the room, but Crockett's refusal to engage is starting to drive her insane. She shifts tactics, now aiming for Crockett's intelligence. You really think you're smarter than everyone, don't you? Lake sneers, her voice dripping with disdain. I can practically see you trying to outthink me in your head right now. But let's be real, you've been living off borrowed ideas, riding on the coattails of others for so long that you've forgotten what it means to think for yourself. It's all an act, Jasmine. For a split second, there's a flash of something in Crockett's eyes, a glimmer of indignation, perhaps, or maybe something more. But it's gone in an instant. She doesn't let it show. She doesn't let Lake get under her skin. She simply stands there, waiting. Watching. Letting the tension build. Lake's frustration grows. She's trying everything now, throwing every personal attack she can think of. It's like she's on autopilot, insulting, poking, jabbing, hoping to see some reaction. But Crockett just stands there, composed and resolute, refusing to give Lake the moment she craves. The more Lake pushes, the more Crockett stands tall. The contrast between them couldn't be more stark. Lake, dripping with arrogance, her words laced with venom, constantly attacking and belittling, trying to wear Crockett down. Crockett, calm and steady, like an immovable rock in the storm, letting the insults bounce off of her. It's the classic struggle, the aggressor, desperate to break her opponent, and the defender, refusing to let the noise affect her. Lake's desperation is evident now. She's lost the thread of the debate. Her jabs are getting more personal, more venomous, but the audience isn't reacting as she expects. They're watching Crockett with newfound admiration. It's clear that Crockett's calm is starting to wear down the power of Lake's rhetoric. The insults are falling flat, not because they aren't sharp, but because they've lost their bite. Lake steps back, pacing. She's clearly rattled now, frustrated by Crockett's composure, her refusal to engage. She thought she had control of this debate, but now, it's slipping away. Lake is pacing now, visibly unraveling. Her attacks, each sharper than the last, have failed to provoke the response she wants. Crockett remains steadfast, unshaken, standing like a rock in the storm. Lake stops in front of the microphone, a fire in her eyes. Oh, you think you've got it all figured out, don't you? Lake sneers, her voice dripping with contempt. You think that by standing there, all smug and self-righteous, you've won? Let's be real, Jasmine. You've done nothing but build your career on playing the victim, taking advantage of everyone else's struggles. And now, here you are, pretending to be the voice of the people. You're just another politician. A hypocrite. A fraud. The room seems to tighten as the insult hangs in the air. The tension is so thick it's almost suffocating. Lake is basking in the rush of her own words, but Crockett doesn't flinch. Instead, she takes a deep breath, her gaze steady and piercing. Let me tell you something, Kari, Crockett begins. Her voice is calm, methodical, almost too calm. You're right about one thing, I did build my career on fighting for the people. But not for the ones who profit off of fear, not for the ones who manipulate the truth for their own gain. I built my career on truth, something you clearly know nothing about. There's a shift in the room. Crockett's tone has changed. Her confidence isn't just the silent resolve that's been with her throughout the debate. It's something more, something bigger. The air itself seems to crackle with anticipation. Kari, you talk about integrity like it's some sort of accessory you can just throw on when it suits you, Crockett continues, her eyes never leaving Lake's. But you're the one who's been playing with fire. You've spent your whole career creating a narrative that's based on lies, lies that suit your agenda, lies that keep you in the spotlight. And let's be real here, you're not interested in the truth. You're interested in control. You want to be the center of attention, the one with the microphone, the one with the last word. Crockett's words are surgical. Each one cuts deeper than the last, each one shining a light on the hypocrisy that Lake has worked so hard to hide. The audience is hanging on every word. You say I'm a hypocrite, that I've built my career on taking advantage of people. Let's talk about who's really been taking advantage of people, shall we? Crockett presses, her voice rising just slightly, but not in anger, in absolute, controlled conviction. You've been playing the victim for years, Kari, but the truth is, you've built your career on taking advantage of the very people you claim to stand for. You've made a fortune from spreading division, from stoking fear, from telling lies. And you've done it with a smile, with that smug look you think makes you seem invincible. But here's the thing, you're not invincible. The room is so quiet now, you could hear a pin drop. Everyone is watching as Crockett turns Lake's own words back on her. There's no anger in her voice, no need to shout. Her words are clear, precise, and undeniable. I don't play the victim, Kari. I've fought my whole life to get where I am. I didn't rely on sensationalism to get attention. I didn't need to degrade other people to make myself feel important, Crockett continues. You want to talk about integrity? Let's talk about your record. You've built a platform on attacking people like me, people who stand for justice, equality, and truth. But at the end of the day, you're just a puppet. You're a puppet for the powerful few who benefit from the division you create. And you know it. You've sold out to the highest bidder, and now you're left trying to convince people that you're anything more than a charlatan. There's a stunned silence in the room. It's as if the very air itself has been sucked out. Lake's face is frozen, her jaw tight as Crockett continues. You're the one who's built your career on fear. You're the one who spreads division with every tweet, every interview, every platform you have. But let me tell you something, Kari. People are waking up. The truth is getting out, and no matter how loud you shout, no matter how many times you try to tear people down, it won't change the fact that you are the one who's been lying to them. Lake opens her mouth to respond, but Crockett cuts her off, her voice unyielding. No, Kari. I'm not done yet. You've taken enough from people like me, from communities like mine, and now, the bill's coming due. You're the one who's been feeding this country lies and fear, and now it's time for you to face the truth. The real truth. And the truth is, you don't have the power you think you do. You never did. People are tired of your games. They're tired of your lies. And they're certainly tired of you thinking you can stand up here and pretend to be the moral authority. The camera pans across the room, capturing the stunned faces of the audience. They're witnessing something monumental, a moment when Crockett, the underdog, turns the tables on Lake with a calm and unwavering response that is slowly, painfully, breaking Lake down. Lake, the unflappable, the untouchable, has been exposed. Her confidence is cracking. Crockett's words have punctured her armor, and she can't hide the effect it's having. She stumbles for a moment, her face flushing, her mind racing. For the first time in this entire debate, she looks uncertain. Let me tell you something, Kari, Crockett finishes, her voice calm but firm. You can keep playing this game, you can keep shouting over people, keep insulting them, keep pretending you have the answers. But you don't. And you're not going to win this. Because at the end of the day, truth always comes out. And when it does, it's you who's going to have to answer for the lies you've told. Lake's face is now a mask of fury, but there's no more fire in her words. The room is still, quiet, almost reverent as Crockett's final words hang in the air. It's over. Lake has been defeated, not by anger, not by insults, but by the sheer force of Crockett's conviction and truth. The moment the debate ends, the world explodes. It's impossible to measure the weight of Crockett's words, but the digital world makes it clear. Social media bursts into a frenzy. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, every platform is consumed by the aftermath of the debate. It's all anyone can talk about. Hashtags like hashtag Crockett for the win, hashtag truth wins, and hashtag Lakely begin to trend worldwide within minutes. The internet is ablaze with reactions. Supporters from across the political spectrum are praising Crockett for her calm, methodical, and utterly devastating response. Memes are everywhere, some depicting Crockett as a calm, composed warrior standing against a chaotic, flailing Lake, others showcasing the image of Crockett delivering her final blow, while Lake is left frozen in disbelief. The overwhelming majority of tweets express admiration for Crockett's dignity, calling out Lake's desperation and arrogance. Jasmine Crockett just buried Kari Lake and did it without raising her voice. "I'm here for this level of class," reads one tweet, while another adds, "Kari Lake got destroyed and didn't even see it coming." Hashtag mic drop moment. The viral reaction doesn't stop with the average social media user. The ripple effect spreads to political commentators, analysts, and even celebrities, all weighing in with their own thoughts. On MSNBC, political analyst Maria Garcia declares, "What we witnessed tonight wasn't just a clash of personalities. It was a clash of values." Crockett didn't just take Lake's jabs, she dismantled them, piece by piece, leaving Lake with nowhere to hide. This is a turning point, a moment that will define the future of American politics. But it's not just analysts who are weighing in. Celebrities, too, begin offering their support. Actress and activist Zoe Kravitz tweets, "Crockett showed us how to win with dignity. Lake showed us how to lose with pride." Hashtag truth always prevails. The tweet is shared and liked thousands of times, quickly becoming a rallying cry for those who support Crockett's message of integrity over divisiveness. The real shockwaves hit when prominent political figures, both Democrats and Republicans, start responding. Senator Elizabeth Warren, known for her sharp critiques of the political establishment, shares her thoughts. "Jasmine Crockett didn't just rise to the occasion, she redefined what it means to lead with integrity. We need more of this kind of leadership in Washington." Even figures from across the aisle can't help but acknowledge Crockett's power. Republican strategist Rick Wilson, no fan of Crockett's policies, still takes to Twitter, "It's not often you see a politician take down someone like Kari Lake, but Crockett did it with precision and class. This will change the way debates are seen from now on." But the reactions aren't all positive for Lake. Far from it. Across the internet, Lake's credibility is beginning to take a massive hit. The audience who once cheered her every controversial word is now questioning her effectiveness. Online trolls, who once adored her every insult, are now turning on her. Kari Lake didn't just lose a debate tonight, she lost her narrative. She had nothing but insults, and Crockett had facts, one tweet reads. Another user posts, "I've supported Lake in the past, but after that, it's clear, she's all talk, no substance. Crockett just showed her up." In an interview on Fox News the next day, Lake tries to brush off the fallout, but the damage is already done. Her usual bravado seems hollow now. When asked about Crockett's remarks, her responses are disjointed, defensive. The camera zooms in, capturing her discomfort, a stark contrast to the self-assured political figure she once portrayed herself as. "I don't know what the big deal is," Lake stammers, her confidence faltering. Crockett's just another politician with a lot to say but no real solutions. But the audience can see the cracks. The damage to Lake's credibility is growing. It's not just her supporters who are questioning her anymore, even her political allies are beginning to hedge their bets. Analysts predict that this single moment could fundamentally shift Lake's political trajectory. For Crockett, however, the aftermath is a rising tide. The attention she's garnered from her calculated, brilliant response isn't just online, it's seeping into real-world political influence. Donations to her campaign skyrocket. Activists, young voters, and those on the progressive side of the political spectrum are rallying behind her, emboldened by her ability to stand firm in the face of an unrelenting opponent. They see Crockett as a champion for their values, someone who can stand up to the bullies of the political world without compromising her integrity. Political strategists are already looking ahead, speculating about the lasting impact this moment will have on the next election cycle. This was a pivotal moment, says one strategist. Crockett showed she can go toe-to-toe with the most formidable political personalities out there and win. She has the potential to be a major force in the years to come. But the most stunning shift comes from within Lake's camp. Quiet whispers begin to emerge from her staff and colleagues, acknowledging that the response from Crockett was more than just an effective retort, it was a complete reordering of the debate. Her base, once solidified, is now fractured, with many supporters now reconsidering whether Lake's confrontational style is what the country really needs. The conversation quickly shifts from Crockett's victory to Lake's fall. Analysts debate whether this is the beginning of the end for Lake's career, or if she can regain her footing. One thing is clear, the political landscape has shifted. The battle is far from over, but the damage has been done. And now, the question on everyone's mind is this: can Kari Lake recover from this public humiliation, or has her credibility been irreparably damaged? The spotlight shines on Jasmine Crockett, but the storm has passed. The debate is over. The applause has faded, but in the silence that follows, Crockett stands tall, unshaken, still composed. The tension of the past few minutes has evaporated into a quiet, confident strength. The crowd, still processing the magnitude of the encounter, begins to settle. In this moment, Crockett doesn't see herself as a winner, she sees herself as someone who has done something far more important. Something much bigger than any political debate. With a calm breath, she speaks again, her voice clear and steady, carrying the weight of her experience, her ideals, and the fight that has brought her here. You know, throughout this entire encounter, one thing became abundantly clear, Crockett begins, her words deliberate, measured. This isn't just about one woman trying to tear down another. This isn't about politics as usual. What this moment really showed us was what happens when truth meets lies, when integrity stands firm in the face of insults. She pauses, letting the gravity of the moment sink in. We've all heard the rhetoric, the constant noise. The insults. The attacks that are meant to divide us. But here's the truth, we cannot let those attacks define us. We cannot let the ugliness of politics cloud the values that this country was founded on, values like respect, dignity, and the truth. Crockett's gaze sweeps the room, meeting the eyes of the people who have gathered here, the millions watching at home, all waiting for her to make sense of the chaos. I didn't come here to win a popularity contest, she continues, her voice unwavering, but the emotion in her words is palpable. I came here because I believe in something greater. I believe in a future where we rise above the pettiness of name-calling and mudslinging. A future where we don't let insults cloud the bigger picture, where we don't let power-hungry politicians dictate who we are or what we stand for. Her words are more than a rebuttal, they are a call to action. This is a victory for integrity, Crockett says, her eyes now burning with conviction. It's a victory for all of us who believe in something better, who believe that a nation built on truth can stand up against the noise and distractions that threaten to tear it apart. I didn't respond to Kari Lake's insults because I had to. I did it because I needed to show the world that this is not the kind of politics we should accept. We deserve more. She takes a breath, gathering herself before delivering the final truth of the moment. When we allow others to define us by the insults they throw, when we get lost in the noise of negativity, we lose sight of what really matters. The fight isn't about who can shout the loudest, who can tear down the other person with the sharpest words. The fight is about truth. The fight is about respect. The fight is about dignity, and the courage to speak truth to power, even when it's uncomfortable. Crockett steps forward slightly, her message growing even more powerful. And that, my friends, is why I'm standing here today. Not because I'm trying to beat someone else, but because I'm trying to show all of you that no matter the attacks, no matter the insults, we have the power to rise above it. We have the power to stand firm in our truth, and we have the responsibility to make sure that the next generation sees a future where integrity, not arrogance, is what leads us forward. The room, which had been so charged with tension just moments ago, now resonates with a quiet reverence. Crockett's words have settled in, and the audience feels the weight of what she's just said, the importance of not just winning, but doing so with grace, dignity, and truth. As she finishes, there's a moment of complete stillness, an acknowledgement of the powerful shift that just occurred. Crockett has not only won the debate, she has redefined what it means to engage in political discourse. This is not just my victory, she continues, her voice softening but still firm. It's ours. All of us who believe in doing what's right, no matter how hard it may seem. It's a reminder that we don't need to tear each other down to build ourselves up. We can, and we must, rise together. The audience erupts. Applause fills the room, but it's not just for her. It's for what her words have represented. A call to something bigger. Something more hopeful. Something more meaningful. And as the cheers die down, Crockett speaks one final line, a phrase that captures the essence of everything she's stood for. If we stand together in truth, there's nothing we can't achieve. In that moment, the crowd knows they've witnessed something extraordinary. They've witnessed a shift, a moment that will echo long after the debate ends. Crockett's strength wasn't just in her arguments or her calm demeanor, it was in her unwavering belief that integrity and truth will always outlast division. In the end, it wasn't about the insults, the attacks, or the political theater. It was about something much deeper, the battle between ideology and character. Kari Lake fought with sharp words and loud accusations, trying to dismantle Crockett with every jab she could throw. But Crockett didn't respond with bitterness or anger. She didn't descend into the chaos. Instead, she stood firm in her values, truth, integrity, and respect. And in doing so, she proved that character can, and does, trump division. This wasn't just a win for Jasmine Crockett. This was a win for everyone who believes in standing up for what's right, even when the world is throwing everything it has at you. It's a reminder that politics isn't just about power, it's about the people. It's about integrity, about fighting for justice, about having the courage to speak the truth in the face of overwhelming pressure. But the battle doesn't stop here. It's up to all of us to carry this message forward. To stand up for what we believe in our communities, in our workplaces, and in our daily lives. The fight for truth, for dignity, for respect, it's not over. It's just beginning. If you believe in what we saw here today, if you believe in the power of integrity and truth over division, don't just sit back. Take action. Share this video. Subscribe for more content that challenges the status quo and uplifts those who are willing to stand up and fight for what's right. The world is watching, and now more than ever, it's our turn to make our voices heard. Remember, integrity will always win.